On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to look back at the latest new Q posts, including ones that have just come up today. While we're doing that, we're going to be focusing on the picture that was given to us of the Long Beach port and what that has to do with human trafficking, Kate Spade and Nancy Pelosi. You guys are going to want to stick around and find out that and much, much more. Hi, my name is Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I always like to begin by saying thank you to everyone who's hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, make sure you come here, hit the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you get notified when these videos get posted, and there's a little thumbs up at the bottom of this video. It's the like button. If you guys like this content and want to see me make more, please go hit it. It lets me know you guys want to see more of this content. But today, of course, as you saw here in the graphic, this is actually a picture of downtown LA, and we're going to be talking about LA because we're going to be going back to where we left off yesterday. Now, where we left off yesterday was here, Q Post 3314. We're picking up at Q Post 3315, but we're going to start here at Q Post 3313 because there's a lot I think I missed yesterday, and I want to redress this, and I want to get it right because there is a huge story here that a lot of other Anons picked up on right after I was finished making this video, and I wanted to get back and get another chance to go at it. So we're going to talk about this in more depth, but before we do that, I always encourage everyone to come back here to the landing page. If you guys want to get caught up on the latest new Q posts and you want to get caught up with everything that's going on in the channel, you should come back here and watch these last few videos. And if you don't know what QAnon and the Great Awakening is, you should come here and watch this video. What is QAnon and the Great Awakening? It will give you all the information you need about QAnon and the Great Awakening, how to get involved, where to find the info, and all of that good stuff. So I would encourage everyone to go check that out. So today, starting here back at what we were discussing, what is this picture? Okay, the picture is obviously of Seal Beach as we identified, but it's actually more obvious, and I didn't even put this together, but the acronym right here, the letters that are given as the file name, LPB, that's Long Beach Port. This is Long Beach and Seal Beach are on the same stretch of beach, I guess, and Long Beach Port is right there. Now, Long Beach Port, we've talked about this in previous Q posts, and it goes all the way back to Allison Mack. It goes to Kate Spade. You guys remember Kate Spade actually was found and had committed suicide recently, and there was a lot of speculation about different things surrounding that. So we're just going to jump right into it. There's just so much to talk about, but we'll just start here. So these are the previous posts we had from Q back on June 10th and April 20th. So a year ago, almost to the day, we had this post. It says, Mac is naming names, big names in Hollywood, government, local, federal. Proof, the Standard Hotel, helicopter crash, all related, future will prove past. Adam Schiff, feeling okay today. Why is the Mexican border at Long Beach Port so important? TikTok, LLCQ. Wow. And then it goes up here to this one that we got basically in June of the same year there, saying track all suicides. Example 1, think Spade. Trace to children's foundations in New York. Trace to import-export. Trace from Mexico or China, Mexico to Long Beach Port or Long Beach. Trace sales spinoff of company. Trace Clinton Foundation. Trace to port security clearance profile L5. Who granted Hussein HRC? Expect a lot more Q. So remember, guys, we've had this story for quite some time now. We've talked about the human trafficking. We've talked about the ports. We've talked about how Q's basically alluded to the fact that apparently we're having, through Mexico and China, funneling in human trafficking from those places through the Long Beach port. And a few very good, sharp people caught this, and I obviously jumped right on it and started digging into it. Now, here I found a Twitter post shared with me by somebody, a good friend, which is actually talking about the Long Beach port. Now, if you go through this, a couple interesting things is that here's first identifying, Seal Beach, Long Beach port, and all that stuff. But if you go here in the next one, it looks at this post here with the Kate Spade thing, and it says trace China, Mexico to Long Beach. And I want to read this to you. It says, if anyone recalls, during the Napa digs, an Anon traced a rail line from the port of Long Beach through the port of Oakland and terminating in Napa Valley. And it says Spade had a house up there about a mile or so away from Nancy Pelosi with property owned by Backpage founders between the two. You guys remember Backpage? That was the website that was being used to traffic, to basically traffic in human trafficking for prostitution, and it was shut down by the FBI as soon as President Trump took office, which is something that a previous president could have done had they decided to, but we'll leave that to another conversation. But here, it's talking about the connections here between what's coming in through China, what's coming in through Mexico to Long Beach. What does that have to do with the Clinton Foundation? The sale and spinoff of it, I believe the company that Kate Spade owned anyway. But then it goes in here and it shows the actual anon who was digging and showing that from the port of Oakland, it went into the port, or it went into Napa Valley, this rail line that starts in Long Beach. Now, it's not surprising as much as it is very coincidental, especially when you look at the fact, as it points out here in the next one, or that the coincidence that a property seized in the Backpage indictment is less than a mile from Madam Nancy's vineyard and less than 2 from Kate Spade's. So I guess Nancy Pelosi and Kate Spade had 2 properties up here, possible vineyards that were right smack dab on either side of this property that was seized for the in regard to the Backpage shutdown. So I'm just pointing these things out. I think they're food for thought for everyone to kind of sink their teeth into. And if you want to do your own research, you should most certainly do that. You know, the picture that we're given here talks about 1st and 10 on the 40. Well, I think LA is the touchdown. I have some good sources, and I think LA is where it all is happening. I'm just going to leave that, throw that out there, and just say, look, LA may be the nexus of all of this. You talk about, you can talk about the Standard Hotel and all that, but then it goes into something much more deep, and it has to do with a lot more with what's going on with this human trafficking and the trafficking of illicit things into our country. So I think that's what our next goal is. Our goal is to bring justice to those areas and bring back the law and stop whatever is happening as far as this goes. Because it's not like underreported. I'm not like just pulling this out of a hat. I mean, you can watch, there's dozens of videos about human trafficking stings that have been going on across the country since President Trump took office. And a lot of them do take place in LA. And a lot of them do have to do with women and sometimes men and children who are smuggled into this country and then exploited. And, this is something that we have to be aware of. It's something that we have to pay attention to, and it's something I wanted to redress, being that I don't think I covered it properly in the original video. So I had to go back and do that. So thanks for sticking with me through that. And think about this. The Mueller blockade end, we already did this one in the last video. Now the next one that we missed was this Rod's departure next. Rod Rosenstein. Yes, of course, he's the next one out. And funny enough, I even made the thumbnail with that in mind, thinking Rod Rosenstein's got to be nervous right now. So I even had circled his face and put nervous right underneath. So, we all know that he's the one who's going to have to answer for what he did as far as appointing the special counsel. Signing off on what he had to have known to be as unverified evidence with the Steele dossier and predicating an entire push for a special counsel into that or from that is really what is going to be next to come. You're going to have to look at Rod Rosenstein and say, hey, you weren't able to verify any of this information. You basically were just going off of these non-evidentiary findings that were really inconsequential to the broader scope of what the investigation was set out to be. I used air quotes if you can't see that, but he's going to have to answer for that. So as Q's kind of been saying from day one, Rod's definitely going to be the next one who's going to be flying the coop there. Now, the latest new Q post first gives us this Fox News Radio piece where Brian Kilmeade is actually interviewing John Dowd, the former attorney for President Trump. And what's interesting to note in this interview, you guys can watch this 15 minutes, I'll leave a link, but it says Dowd also wants to get to the bottom of how the special counsel started in the first place and feels Rod Rosenstein has to answer for Mueller being appointed as head of the special counsel without informing President Trump he was doing so. So don't forget, this whole special counsel investigation was basically under the purview of the President of the United States, and he had the right to go in not only to exert executive privilege, but then to also pretty much fire everyone who was involved with it. Yet he chose not to do that. Now, why did he choose not to do that? Pretty simple. I mean, for the same reason that you wouldn't go in and, basically it just makes you look guilty, right? If you go in and you start firing everyone, it's better to let them expose themselves as President Trump did. And, with that being said, you kind of come back here and you think, Okay, and then Q gives us basically this scribe document, which we'll leave links to all these in the bottom. But Q wants us to look at page 11, which talks about the special counsel's investigation. Let's read what Q has to say, though. Q says, page 11, previously classified scope, Rod Rosenstein to Mueller. The scope memo highlighted within Mueller report confirms the dossier was the tool used by Rod Rosenstein to justify special counsel and was the primary vehicle to which Rod Rosenstein tasked Mueller. If the dossier was known to be unverified and fake, how then was an investigation started to begin with? At what point did Mueller determine there was no collusion? 18 months ago? Was the investigation kept ongoing as a talking point to rig the midterm elections? Was the investigation kept ongoing to retain the blockade to essentially restrict POTUS from unmasking and informing the public as to the truth about what really happened? Was the investigation kept ongoing to protect those who knowingly committed treason, sedition? No blockade equals game over, Q. And there you go. Think about it this way. This is how I like to look at it. Everything that we're uncovering here is pointing to the fact that not only was President Trump set up, but there's a broader effort to cover all of this up. And that broader effort started with Mueller, or basically, I guess it did start with Obama before him, but then Mueller, through basically trying to keep all of that information from being able to be shown to the public. Because if you lay all this out in front of any reasonable person, of course there's going to be fringes on both sides that don't believe anything you say, but if you lay this out to any reasonable person, they're going to look at it and go, wow, that's awful. And if the tables were turned, I wouldn't want that to be done to my presidential candidate, right? Is that not fair to say? I don't understand the complete hypocrisy on the left where they look at this and go, yeah, he's obviously guilty, and they were totally right in going after him and spying on him, totally vindicated because, look, he had a salad with Russian dressing, and there was, a few people who talked to some Russians at some point. I mean, you read through it, and it's like, he talked to Sergei Kislyak in public. That was enough to say he's probably a Russian spy. And you're like, what? I mean, it's serious. You read through this, right? Because what this document actually lays out, and Q wants us to look at page 11 to start with, is how this all got started. Now, I think the starting point is what Q wants us to pay attention to, but I'll read a little bit to you. And it says, on May 17, 2017, Deputy Attorney General Rod J. Rosenstein, then serving as acting Attorney General for the Russia investigation, following the recusal of former Attorney General Jeff Sessions on March 2, 2016, appointed the special counsel to, quote, to investigate Russian interference with the 2016 presidential election and related matters, unquote. Office of the Deputy Attorney General, and it gives the orders and all that stuff. I'm not going to go through all that, but it says... relying on the the authority vested in the acting attorney general, the acting attorney general ordered the appointment of a special counsel, quote, in order to discharge the acting attorney general's responsibility to provide supervision and management of the Department of Justice and to ensure a full and thorough investigation of the Russian government's efforts to interfere in the 2016 presidential election. Unquote. An appointment order introduction, the special counsel, the order stated, is authorized to conduct the investigation confirmed by then FBI Director James Comey, oh, there you go, in testimony before the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence on March 20, 2017, including 1, any links and or coordination between Russian government and individuals associated with the campaign of President Donald Trump. 2, any matters that arose or may arise directly from the investigation. 3, any other matters within the scope of 28 CFR. So looking at the first part here, think about this, guys. First of all, there was no crime. And the evidence they were using was the Steele dossier, which was Oppo research, which was fake, which was paid for, which was somehow given to a FISA court judge, and the judge somehow didn't ask any questions and basically rubber stamped it through so that they could start spying on the Trump campaign vis-a-vis Page, Papadopoulos, others, right? And they had Operation Crossfire Hurricane set up where they were basically setting people up from the get-go, right? You start putting all of this together, and then you look at this and you think, how on May 17, 2017, was Rod Rosenstein able to actually sign off on this and actually say it was good? But then you look at who else was signing off on it. It was then FBI Director James Comey. And you wonder why President Trump fired Comey. Because Comey knew that the whole thing was basically phony, and he still was the one pushing this. And Rosenstein signed off on it too. So Rosenstein's just as culpable as Comey, which means that's why he's going to be the next one to go. And that's welcome to the swamp, ladies and gentlemen. And then it goes on to talk about how there were extensions to the scope. There was amendments to the scope, so it was expanded. And it doesn't really get into the details as much as just talking about how they expanded the scope so they could find other crimes that were coming up in the regular, term of the investigation or whatever. So, but that in and of itself, so here's the thing that really is awful. If just somebody, Rosenstein, Comey, whoever, had not been so basically corrupt that they had looked at this and said, well, we can't push this forward. This is basically an illegal investigation because it's predicated off of things that we basically know are unverified, and we know are basically weaponized opposition research that was put out before the election to sway the election. Right? But they didn't. They pushed it through anyway. And that's what we're seeing right now, is the effect of all of that. So if you take that into consideration and then you keep kind of reading, you can see that this is all Rosenstein to Mueller. It was a handoff to keep this information from getting out there. The scope memo is the one that, it lays out these predicates for an investigation, but then, you realize the evidence they used was basically fake, phony, false. And if the dossier was known to be unverified and fake, how then was an investigation started to begin with? That's the point we're getting at. And this is an interesting question. So there's been so much speculation, and this should have been an open and shut case. I think, just as Q is saying here, this investigation was not only was not only used as a blockade to keep the information that would highlight their crimes from getting into the public, it was also a dual purpose. They used it as a way to basically rig the midterm elections, as Q points out in the next sentence there, in my humble opinion, because, the turnout would have been totally different. People would have voted totally different if you had told them when you found out that this was basically completely fabricated, there's nothing to it, there's no proof or evidence that President Trump is a Russian agent. You still have people on Capitol Hill today saying that President Trump's working with the Russians. Adam Schiff. You still have people up there saying that he obstructed justice, Jerry Nadler. You still have people saying all these things and pushing and running with this because they're going to try to use it for the 2020 election. That's why they can't let this go. This is the only way they have a remote chance of retaining the House, retaining the Senate, retaining and getting the presidency. They have no other choice. They won't win otherwise. So this to me is just... Q talks about treason and sedition. Yeah, that's for the people that are involved. But more broadly, what are they doing to our country? How are the people who claim to be these liberals, they have such conflicting, they have to do so many mental gymnastics to justify what they're doing, when we on the other side are using logic and fact and basically positing research on a regular basis, saying this is what happened, these are the facts. There's no way you can argue them other than to say that you're going to keep arguing the semantics, or you're going to keep arguing the possibilities of unknowns. It's like, look, there's only so much that our country can continue to take, I think, at this point, until we reach a point where we're not listening to one another and we're just talking over one another. And that's where we seem to be at right now. So my my advice to everyone out there is to bring the facts, know what you're talking about, try to really present a case. And this is the case right here. We have the information. And as Q says, we are the news now. Don't forget, the power that we have to spread this information is really more important than anything else. So I want you guys to spread this video, get it out there, because that really is going to make the difference in the long haul. Here's a great tweet from Devin Nunes talking about saying, goodbye, Russia. Hello, Spygate. Yes, statement on the Mueller report, and there is a statement that's connected to it. I'll read it to you. It's pretty short. It says, the Mueller report ignored a wide range of abuses committed during the FBI's investigation of the Trump campaign, and now, with the revelation that the special counsel was authorized at the outset to investigate Carter Page for allegedly colluding with Russians to hack the election, it's clear that false allegations from the Steele dossier played a major role not only in the FISA warrant application on Page, but in the appointment of the special counsel as well. The biggest takeaway from the entire Russia hoax is that our nation's counterintelligence capabilities should never again be abused to target an administration's political opponents. Those who colluded in this effort, the media, Fusion GPS, Democrat Party leaders in Congress, the Clinton campaign, and partisan intelligence leaders should apologize to the innocent people they maligned and to the American people they deceived. I couldn't have said it better myself, Representative Nunes. So that's basically going to wrap it up here. I want to say thank you guys for watching. A few things you want to stick around here, ways you can help out the channel. This is a big deal. I really appreciate it. First of all, like I always say, hit the subscribe button. That helps out big time. And the like button lets me know when you click that you guys like this content and want to see me make more. Also, don't forget to watch these last videos, share them on your social media, and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights down in the comments. I want to hear what you guys have to think about all of this. Anything you can contribute. You guys are the reason why I'm always staying on top of everything, to be quite honest, because I always read through there, and if I miss one thing, you guys are on it, and I appreciate that. So thank you so much for contributing there regularly. Also, a few other ways you can help out the channel. Come over here, and you can find me on Twitter at JustInformYou. That's my official Twitter hashtag, at JustInformYou, the letter U. And you guys can come find me here, tweet at me. We can have a conversation. It's really a good time. I appreciate you guys coming over and supporting the channel there. This is a cool way we can connect, and it's just, I like it. It's a good medium. Also, there is this. You can come find me over here on justinformednews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk. You have links to all the Q stuff, links to different news websites, breaking news articles, and of course, you get the latest Q videos and the latest videos from the channel here. So that's a cool tool for you guys to go check out. Also, if you guys want to help out financially, there's Patreon. It's a crowdfunding website. It's patreon.com. There'll be a link in the description. You just come here, click this button, become a patron. It's a monthly donation. Set it and forget it. I know you're helping create content here on this channel, and I couldn't do this without you guys. I've said that before. I'll say it again. You guys are the fuel that keeps this channel running, and I'm so thankful for your support here. Also, I have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time donation or an anonymous donation. Links to both of those will be in the description. So, before we go, we do a segment at the end of each episode called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. So for today's episode or segment, we're going to actually read a piece of scripture, and we're going to check this out. So on this Good Friday, as we celebrate the life and death of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, the blood that was shed for the forgiveness of our sins, and we remember that sacrifice that was made, especially today on Good Friday, I just want to read these verses to you. It's out of Psalm 31. It's verses 21 through 24, and then we're going to talk about them. And it says here, "May the Lord be praised, for he has wonderfully shown his faithful love to me in a city under siege. In my alarm I had said, I am cut off from your sight, but you heard the sound of my pleading when I cried to you for help. Love the Lord, all his faithful ones. The Lord protects the loyal, but fully repays the arrogant. Be strong and courageous, all you who put your hope in the Lord." And that's that's kind of like the message I see on a day like today, where we're remembering the sacrifice that was made on the cross for our sins, and how strong that was, and what that means for our eternal lives, and how we're called to follow the Lord, and to be faithful, and to be loyal, and to be righteous, and to be humble. And all of those things we have to do remembering the sacrifices that were made for us. And as long as we never forget that, and we remember that there is a glorious resurrection of Christ that came, that paved the way for our eternal salvation, as long as we put that first in our hearts and in our minds, then we can do anything, and God's blessings can be so abundant that you won't even understand, you can't even fathom at this moment. And that's where I put my faith, and that's where I want you guys to put your faith. But I'm so thankful for you guys here sticking with the channel, and I want that message to go out today on Good Friday as we remember the sacrifice on the cross. I want you guys to remember what we're called to do and how the Lord will never leave us. So that's the message I have for you. I want to say thank you for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. Also, by the way, obviously, subscribe button if you guys want to help out the channel. If you haven't hit it already, now's a great time to do it. And there's a thumbs up like button. Click that if you guys like this content and want to see more. But that's going to be it for me. I want to say thank you for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.